to my first video blog. A lot of questions have been asked of me regarding my addiction and background, how I came into recovery, and what's driven me to build the website that I have. So instead of trying to reach out to you via text, I thought this would be a good way to speak. The words you hear, the inflection in my voice, and understand more of the emotion of where I've been. The addiction itself and what it was really doesn't matter. Addiction is addiction. Alcoholism, sex addiction, compulsive shopping, gambling, all addictions. So I've purposely kept the specific addiction out of my posts because it really doesn't matter. I want it to be generic. Addiction is a term that reaches every addict who suffers, period. It doesn't have to be labeled by a specific. And what I talk about and my experiences and strengths and hopes that I share can speak to anybody, regardless of their background or their past. For me, it started right around junior high. Won't go into depth on the background. It doesn't, not enough time really right now, but it did start in junior high, and surprisingly lasted until June 11th of 2012. That is my sobriety date. And thankfully, I have been clean and sober since, and I gain courage, strength, and hope every single day that I live and stay away from the trap that I was in. What changed? What happened? What was my bottom line? For me, I had been in and out of 12-step groups, I guess around 5 years. And I would constantly go back to using. It was one of the hardest things to overcome that I can think of and I can imagine. As I made attempt after attempt to restore some sort of balance in my life, I realized that I couldn't do it. I gave up. I realized false hope, I guess. And the solution that I came up with was death. It was the only thing that I could visualize that was going to get me out of what I was going through. There was no other choice in my mind. Since death wasn't going to come quickly enough by using, although I was on that road, I decided to quicken it and take things into my own hands by overdosing on a lot of drugs. Fortunately, the few people that were still in my life that I hadn't driven away and who truly cared about me and loved me caught wind of what was happening, and literally just before I could go through with it, the police caught me and I was handed over to Green Oaks Emergency Intake and was stuck there for an entire weekend. until a counselor could see me, and that counselor had to see me 3 times, each time attempting to assess if I was a danger to myself and should I be admitted. Thankfully, I wasn't admitted. That's another story. But what I am thankful about was that I'd hit my bottom. That was it. I realized that I did not want to die and realized the truth of recovery is truth. That is the hope. Recovery comes from being honest. Honest with yourself. And staying rigorously honest with those around you in your life. And one of the hardest things I had to do after realizing how wrong I was about the path to take was that I had to begin to think that I was worth something, that I was worth living for. And everybody tells you, tell yourself affirmations. It's in every big book there is for every 12-step group. Make a list of affirmations, repeat them to yourself. I'm sorry, I'm not Stuart Smalley, and I can't stand in front of a mirror and do that very easily. It took over 20 years of telling myself in the mirror how worthless I am, that it just wasn't going to happen overnight. And I needed it, though. I desperately needed to know that there was something inside of me worth keeping alive. And the only way to do that was to come clean with the closest around me, including family. And so I had a self-intervention in which I asked 11 of my friends and family to write affirmations for me. It's truly humbling to realize you have to ask other people to tell you what they see in you that is good. And they responded wonderfully. I have a stack of index cards in which they wrote all the good things and all the qualities that they loved about me that I simply could not see and was unwilling to see. And these stay on my mirror in my bathroom as I get ready each day, and I flip one over and read the next over and over. And it's been 3.5 years now, and I've gone through the stack a couple times, but it doesn't matter. Because as many years now in recovery that I do have, granted it's a drop in the bucket, and it will be a lifetime, there are still days where I feel worthless. And that's what every addict struggles with. To be honest, that's what many non-addicts struggle with as well. And to keep it at bay, on those days where it's a little bit more difficult, I need those cards. And they mean the world to me. And those friends and that family that's stuck by me mean the world to me, and they are my truth. They are the mirror that I look into now. And so I encourage you to continue to follow my blog as I post weekly about the struggles, the hopes, the dreams, the fears, the realizations, everything from my point of view. It's not meant as advice. I'm not telling anybody what to do. And that's the beauty of sharing in that way, is something will always reach someone and spark a change in themselves. And my hope is that what I do and how I speak to you now, and how I speak to you in the future, and how I speak to you through the website, does reach someone, and change happens for them as well, as they realize their own truth and discover their own journey and their own path. All my love to everyone out there who struggles with this. You are in my heart, in my thoughts, and in every keystroke. Thank you for listening, and thank you for following me.